If your organization feels chaotic, I'm going to help you name that chaos in under 10 minutes. Most executives define chaos as if it's random. 1 month it's performance, then it's turnover, then it's missed deadlines, then it's infighting or customer escalation. But chaos isn't random, it's driven. And if you fix the wrong driver, you can waste an entire quarter or more making adjustments that feel busy but don't change outcomes. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 4 chaos drivers that create pressure in almost every organization, and we'll talk about how to diagnose what's running your organization right now. Here's what makes organizational chaos so dangerous. It doesn't announce itself as chaos necessarily. It shows up as symptoms. Meetings multiply, decisions slow down, work gets redone, people disengage, good talent leaves. This happens in organizations all across the world. But what you're really watching happen is chaos bleed. Margins leak, execution slows, leaders hedge instead of commit to the organization. I've seen leadership teams spend millions on reorganizations and new initiatives trying to fix the chaos bleed. But the real driver of what was happening was unclear. No one knew what really mattered or what would really fix the problem. So as a result, the organization executed hard, but not necessarily in the right direction. Your job as an executive isn't necessarily to do more, it's to diagnose correctly. So let's map this out. In order to talk about the drivers, we need to start with our chaos state grid. If you haven't watched the detailed video on this 2x2, we'll link it for you in the description. But this video will show how you can overlay the drivers on top of the different chaos states. Clarity is the signal. Do people know what matters, what winning looks like, what trade-offs are real? This is clarity. And consistency is the reliability. Can you execute predictably, or does performance swing depending on heroics or escalation and luck? This grid shows the condition your organization is in, but it doesn't explain the cause. That's what the drivers do. Starting down here in total chaos, the signal is unclear and execution is unreliable. This isn't one problem. You're not looking at one problem down here in the organization if it's total chaos. It's problems stacked on top of problems. You've got clarity breakdown, you've got consistency breakdown happening at the same time. This is where leaders spend their entire week reacting. Total chaos, you've got both clarity breakdown as a driver and this kind of firefighting loop of consistency breakdown. So that is total chaos. And the hamster wheel up here, this is what teams look like when the signal is unclear. They can execute, but they're executing without a true north. So at the hamster wheel, you see this driver of misdirected capacity, as well as still a clarity breakdown. Busy does not necessarily mean effective. A strong engine, but the wrong destination. This is an expensive kind of chaos because it looks like performance, and you're paying for inputs without getting your desired outputs. Down here in the bottom right, you've got missed opportunities, and this is when the strategy is clear, but the system is fragile and execution can't keep up. So you've got that consistency breakdown that you had in total chaos, but you also have some friction hotspots here. That might be bottlenecks or other things. This is handoff issues, approval issues, cross-functional dead zones. This is where leaders feel like the org is always just almost there. And then you've got flow state, and you may not think that there are any drivers of chaos in flow state, but if you watched the other video, you remember me saying that flow state is not a destination or a permanent state. It's simply a moment in time and a goal state. And so there are always going to be friction hotspots, even up in flow state. And you also want to watch the multipliers because they can also impact everything in flow state. This is where chaos is managed, but maybe they're localized and not organization-wide. So the main job here is prevention and quick diagnosis, because multipliers or friction hotspots that spread can knock you out of flow really fast. So speaking of those multipliers, let's get those in here. So we're just going to kind of overlay multipliers on top of our 2x2 because they impact all 4 quadrants here. And if you watch the Chaos Bleed video, you'll know what these are. These are things that amplify the chaos. And there's two main categories. One is leadership churn. This, when you have leadership leaving, high turnover in the leadership ranks, this makes signals noisier and execution less consistent. So that can amplify chaos no matter what state you're in. And then the other multiplier is pathology severity or chaos state severity. So if you look at this 2x2, somebody who's sitting here in total chaos, point A, is in a very different position than somebody who's sitting down here, point B, in total chaos. So, and the same can be true. The higher the consistency and clarity, even within the same quadrant, so C versus D, or E down here versus F up here, very different situations. This severity of where you are in the quadrant will also multiply the level of chaos. Triggers are the spark. If you have a new leader, if you have an M&A that doesn't have full integration, if you're experiencing rapid growth or a crisis or a spike in turnover, these can all activate drivers. Misdirected capacity, clarity breakdown, consistency breakdown, friction hotspots, and drivers are the fuel of chaos. If you don't identify the driver, you'll only be treating the symptoms and wasting effort and resources. So the state, one of these, total chaos, hamster wheel, etc. The state tells you the condition. The drivers, which are these, tell you what's causing it. And this is what the Org Friction Audit can help you do quickly. It tells you your chaos state and it estimates your chaos bleed. So instead of guessing, you can aim your leadership capital at what actually matters. It will help you, or you can do it yourself, place your organization on the chaos grid. You can do it as a whole, or you can do it by department. Then circle the quadrant you're in. So if you are point A, for instance, you're in total chaos. Circle this quadrant and ask, what are the drivers that are keeping us here? Do you have clarity breakdown? What does that look like in your organization? Where is there consistency breakdown? Maybe there's some friction hotspots. Maybe there's even some misdirected capacity because you are towards the top of the quadrant here. Once you can name and take action to address the drivers that you're seeing in the organization, the chaos starts losing its power and your dot can start migrating up to the upper right-hand quadrant. If you name the driver, you can reduce the friction and you can mitigate that chaos bleed. Share this video with your leadership team and ask them one question. What driver do you think is costing us the most right now? When leaders can name the driver, they can stop chasing the symptoms. Chaos isn't random. It's driven by drivers. And once you name that driver, or those drivers plural, you can lead with precision instead of panic and stop worrying about firefighting and actually move the needle forward. I'll see you in the next one.